Hey, starting out solitary, it's Wild Bells, and we're a little late this week, but due to technical difficulties, here we are on Saturday. This week's topic is things that you started doing in your practice but no longer do. And I've thought about this for several weeks, and I can't really pinpoint something that I did in the beginning that I don't necessarily do now, except for casting circle. No, I still do cast circle because it was one of the first things I was trained to do, and so I just instinctively do it. However, I find that the more and more I dive into my practice, the more unnecessary I personally find it. Sorry, the cat has decided he needs attention. However, I still find myself casting circle in situations that don't necessarily deem it necessary. And that's really the primary thing that I found that I continuously do, even though it doesn't necessarily serve me. A lot of the other things, because mine isn't necessarily a rope path, it's not Wicca, it's not Celtic, it's not any of those things. There were not ever a lot of set things that I was told that have to be done. Initiation's really not a thing in that particular path, I guess you would say, even though it's primarily ancestral. But I do know several of the other people that I have taught along the way have like directional things that that were continuously repeated over and over again, and those associations don't necessarily work for those people anymore, but they cling to them because that's what they're used to and that's what they were originally taught with. And so I think that as our path changes and as we progress on these different paths, there's always an ebb and flow of things that work and things that don't work. And something that could have worked for you in the very beginning of your path that you do several years later may not work. But if you come back to it 10 years later, you find that it works again. And I've experienced that within my own journey, is that you constantly have to be aware of the ebbs and flows and the different energies that work well with you at the time. Just like certain stones work well at the time. One of the first stones I ever used heavily was carnelian, and carnelian and I have an ever-changing relationship status. There was about 5 years where it would not work for me, and then it came back. Some of the quartz family I have the same issue with. I think it's just our nature. Our energy changes due to the things that are going on around us, and our intentions change, and therefore the energy and how energy around us reacts to us continuously changes. And I don't know that in my however many years, I think I'm on year 16 or 17. I don't think in any of those years there's ever been one thing that I just don't ever do ever again, and it doesn't work for me. I think it's always it doesn't work for me right now. Let's set it on the shelf and come back to it later. And so just thinking out loud, kind of, but I figured I'd share with you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!